I would do another little knit with me type episode. It is Wednesday, August the 5th. Wow, that was a lot harder than it needed to be. I have the day off today. I actually took the day off because I've got errands to run and my son has a doctor's appointment in a little while. But this morning, it's quiet. All the kids are kind of sleeping in this morning. So I thought, well, I'm gonna sit and get some knitting done and chat with you all for a while. So welcome back. I said in my last episode I was gonna get more professional with my intros. Apparently that's still a work in progress. But my name's Heather. I live in Chicagoland with my 3 teenage sons and my boyfriend and our dog Beckett. And this knitting podcast is all about, wow, I clearly should have had a second cup of coffee before I started this. This podcast is mostly about knitting, but I also chat about whatever other random things happen to come up, especially when we're doing a Knit With Me episode. I basically just sit here and blather on, and yeah, that's pretty much the long and short of it. So I'm going to work on my, I keep messing this up, this Close to You shawl, and yeah, I'm really liking this. It's moving along pretty quick. I'm using larger needles than the pattern suggested because my yarn is a little thicker than fingering weight, so it's moving along. So grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or if it's a little later in the day, maybe you need something stronger. We don't judge here. And hopefully you have something good to knit on. I'm using my new project bag. I'm super excited about that. You can actually see what's in it instead of just having these like mystery bags all over. Lord only knows what's inside. So yeah, what's new with you guys? Hopefully you're having a good week. I know the world is kind of like in a weird state of uproar right now because, well, I mean, the world is always in an uproar lately, but I think for a lot of folks, they're trying to deal with the whether or not school's gonna reopen and stuff. And man, I can't even imagine like sitting on a school board right now. We're trying to like figure out like what to do, what the right thing is to do, especially with like the information changing like every single day. We were supposed to have a parent meeting last night via Zoom to discuss the details of what was going to be happening at all 3 of my sons go to the same high school. And that didn't happen, and instead they called a special board meeting where they determined to just kind of put everything on hold a little bit until some new guidelines from the state of Illinois came out. So I don't even know. It's just a lot. My kids are very frustrated and stressed out about it, and so is Mama, to be honest with you. But that's the world we live in. So I'll tell you, since we're talking about COVID-related items, I'll tell you a funny story. So I decided to buy myself some masks that are like the kind that they look like tubes. You wear them around your neck and then you can just pull them up at a moment's notice, because I find myself in situations, especially at work, where I'm going in and out and in and out, in and out, and when you're outside and it's hot and humid, it's really hard to breathe with something over your mouth. So I like to have something that I can take down but that I can quickly put back up if I'm gonna walk around people, or I just wear them day to day now, and even when I like go through the drive-thru at Starbucks, I just pop it on. But anyway, so I bought some. And in the same Amazon order, I also decided, and this might be TMI, but it's a funny story, so I promise it'll be worth it in the end. I also bought myself some new undies. And both of these items are in floral patterns. I'm sure you can see where this is going, guys. I promise it's going there. Because I really dig floral patterns. I have a lot of things in floral patterns. And so I had everything kind of just like sitting on my dresser or whatever in my bedroom, and I thought I was being so smart. I was just gonna grab, and I bought a pack of these things. They're all florals, both the undies and the masks. And they all actually have, hold on, I have one over here because I'm gonna put it on in a little bit. So it's like this, okay? So can you kind of see how this is like, if this was like in a ball, you might not necessarily be able to tell what this was. So I just grabbed these things and I threw like some in my purse, and then I carry a pretty hefty backpack at work. I threw a couple in there. So I was going out to one of our facilities to do a walkthrough, and I hadn't put my mask around my neck yet because it was my first stop of the day. I was in my car and I went to go put it around my neck, and what I pulled out was not a mask. It was a pair of my underwear. Unfortunately, it was brand new and clean, so it wasn't that bad. And I was just in my car, but it was very narrowly, this could have happened in front of, like, you know, coworkers and yeah. So I guess word to the wise, if you're gonna buy masks and underwear, maybe choose different patterns for those items, because, well, I can't be the only one that this kind of stuff happens to. I just can't, because if I am, I don't even know what I would do with that information. So anyway, that happened. My little brother had a birthday this week, so we went over to my parents' house, just the boyfriend and I. The kids have not been over to their grandparents for a very long time. He wanted mojitos for his birthday. So we brought over ingredients so that he could make himself a mojito. And yeah, it was fun. We just put a little banner on my parents' fence with some little birthday decorations and just kept it simple and socially distanced and stuff like that. It's really hard because my little sister, who is an adult, she's gonna be 20 this year, but she has Down syndrome, and if you don't have anyone in your life with Down syndrome, you won't know this, but that extra chromosome does all kinds of wacky things to your body. And one of the fun things that my sister got was a heart defect and issues with her immune system. So my parents have been on complete and total lockdown since March, and we haven't been able to like really have the kids over. Even though my sons are all teenagers, I still just like, I don't know, like I hesitate to go over there. I go over there maybe once, and they only live like 15 minutes away from me, so it really, really sucks. But yeah. I mean, what can you do about it? It's just like not worth the risk, because like if my sister got sick with this, it would be a very, very big deal. And even though, like I said, I already had it, my boyfriend's already had it, like we should be carrying the antibodies and we shouldn't be able to get anybody else sick, but I don't know, the information about all this stuff just keeps changing every single day, so it's just really hard to tell, like, I don't know what the right thing to do is. So better to be safe than sorry, I guess. But yeah, so we did that this week. I have been in a complete and utter funk with like housework and stuff. Like, I'm sure other people go through this where you just get tired of taking care of the day-to-day. Like, I don't know. I was doing really well for a while there, like keeping up with like morning routines and evening routines and keeping the house tidy. And then at some point I just kind of lost my mojo. I don't know what exactly happened, but I just didn't want to clean anymore. So I'm trying to get that back. For nothing else, because my house is becoming an absolute flaming dumpster. But I don't know. I just get tired. Especially when work is really busy, it's just hard to like close your laptop for the day, or I get home from my last site visit and like all I want to do is just like sit in my chair right here and just like not do anything, like not deal with the kids or the dog or anybody, and just, I don't know, it's been that kind of week. So one thing that we have been doing since everybody's home is we've been trying to get back into playing board games. So my youngest busted out Settlers of Catan, which if you haven't played this game, it's kind of a riot. It's really fun, especially if you've got some competitive people in your family, because there's wheeling and dealing that has to take place. So, I mean, I find that kind of stuff really fun. I'm not super competitive myself. I don't really care, but I enjoy watching my sons try to best each other as far as like strategy and deal making are concerned. So anyway, we were playing, and my one twin, he is just like, man, well, I think all my kids are amazing, but like, I just really enjoy like some of his little quirks. Like we're playing Settlers of Catan, and he decided to adopt a German accent throughout the entire game. And so he's like trying to, they're in the game, like you trade resources with your other players. And so he's just like describing the trade he wants to make in a full-on German accent with like this completely different voice. Like he adopts like this different persona when he's playing the game, which I find utterly hilarious. Yeah, so that's pretty fun. I feel like life is moving very fast right now. The older, well, especially the older they get, the faster it seems to go. So I'm trying to like slow down and take time to enjoy like the quirky little things, you know, that make our family us. And that's one of them. When we play Catan, the kids will sometimes adopt different personalities. The other thing that's really funny that happens around here a lot. So we're all big Broadway fans and theater nerds, and like we've all been in theater productions at one point or another, in community theater or at school or both. And all of my sons sing, and they all sing beautifully. And we are really, really big into Hamilton, which I know a lot of people are, so it's like nothing that special. But if you're a Hamilton fan and you don't know this already, there's an album that came out called the Hamilton Mixtape, where people like Jimmy Fallon and Nas and Busta Rhymes and Alicia Keys, Regina Spektor, and like all these amazing artists covered songs from the Hamilton soundtrack. And it's really, really good. So we've had it on repeat. Well, especially I've had it on repeat for days and days now. And there's a song on the soundtrack, if you don't know, it's called Dear Theodosia, and it's very catchy, and it's a duet. And so there's this thing that happens in my house, which is, I just love, where if somebody starts singing the song, any one of the four of us, everyone will just start joining in harmony. It's great. And like my two twins especially, it's really fun to listen to them sing the song in harmony, because being twins, their voices are not identical, but they're very similar. So it's really fun to listen to them like sing together. But it's like a thing in my house. If you start singing Dear Theodosia or pretty much any song off the Hamilton soundtrack, but that one in particular, it's like, I don't know, like bird calling. Like you like start making the sound, and it's like call and response. Like all of a sudden, like you're pretty much, you know, just singing the entire soundtrack. And the other thing that happens too is like, as we're just going about our day-to-day lives, sometimes we find ways to incorporate, like something will happen and like, I don't know, like we'll say something like, what was one that happened recently? We were talking about the kid's dad or something, and I said something like, you know, yeah, this is the day that you're gonna go there to visit or some, I don't know, we're talking about something to the effect of like when they were going to their dad's, but somehow like their dad wasn't here right now. And so somebody started singing, my father wasn't around, and that just like led into the whole song. Like you basically just, so this just happens constantly, which I personally love. Sometimes when we're all going at the same time, my boyfriend is like, this is really intense, you guys. Like, he's not really a theater person. He enjoys the theater, but he's not like, if you're a theater person, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you're a theater person or you're not. And so, like, I'll just be like singing at the top of our lungs, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym now. It's funny. So my kids are all now aware that I have this podcast. I mean, my youngest knew kind of from the beginning because he was helping me quite a bit, because I don't know a lot about, well, I didn't know a lot about like making thumbnails and doing titles, and he helped me just make sure like everything looked okay, and like how to make a thumbnail and how to title the episode so that there's like continuity and stuff. And yeah, he's super helpful. And but anyway, so my twins, it's come to their attention that I'm doing this podcast, and so their immediate thing is like, oh, you're not talking about us, are you? I'm like, well, no, not really. I mean, in a general sense, I guess. I mean, you are kind of like my everything, you know, like you guys are a huge part of my everything. It's kind of hard to just exist and not acknowledge you or talk about you at all. And so we kind of like had this little discussion about how, you know, they basically just don't want me to talk about them, which is like kind of a weird thing. And I guess I remember being a teenager and like just operating with this general sense of embarrassment, I guess. Like I didn't want to exist on a certain level. So it's kind of weird to get that kind of feedback like from my own kids. So I don't know, hopefully they don't mind that I tell a couple stories about them here and there. I am, like, especially with these Knit With Me episodes, I am kind of using this a little bit as a vlog because, I mean, I don't know. I used to journal quite a bit, and I kind of left off that. And, I don't know. And besides, like, who doesn't, like, chat about their life without talking about the people that are the most important to them, right? So I don't know, raising teenagers is strange. It's definitely been the most fun, but the most challenging part of parenting. When they were babies, it was pretty easy, all things considered. Even with the twins, it was easy. Although I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep for like 4 straight years. I really need to wind up all of my yarn for the Casapinka's Summer Mystery Knit-Along shawl. I really need to wind up my yarn for that. I keep forgetting to do that. The first clue comes out August 7th, which is in 2 days, and I'd really like to be able to start it. Not enough hours in the day for everything that you'd like to do sometimes. So it's funny, the one person who commented about the noise in the background has led me down this path of learning about sound editing. So I've gotten decent in iMovie, which is how I edit this stuff, but I hadn't really played around with like the equalizer or any of that kind of stuff. And like, I know the sound quality in the last episode was pretty wonky, largely because my dog is barking in the background, so I was trying to like find a way to filter that out. But yeah, it has led me to like learn or try to learn more about video editing and sound editing and how to record sound better. I actually ordered, it was cheap, but I'm excited to see how it works, like an actual microphone for this. I mean, I'm still recording on my phone. I've had a little like light rig for a while, which also holds my phone, and I've been using that for like my Teams meetings and stuff like that for work, so it has multiple purposes. But it's kind of fun to learn about all this stuff. Like, I'm one of those people that I'm just interested in everything. Like, I still remember like being little and watching like Mr. Rogers, and I loved the episodes where like they would take you to like the crayon factory, or like he would interview somebody about their job and you would learn all about what that person did. Like, I'm just interested in everything. I find everything interesting, which is kind of a problem because you end up having like 8 million hobbies. And I think out of all of the things, like the hobbies that I've gotten into, the ones that have really stuck have been knitting, number one, and number two, like anything related to paper products. Like I always have like planners or journals or both, and I really like stickers and stuff like that. But those have been the ones that have really stuck around. But like I said, I find everything interesting. So I'm really, really into like going down this YouTube rabbit hole of learning about editing and stuff like that. So that's been really, really good. So I'm interested to see how the new microphone works out. And you can get this stuff for really cheap. Like I was really surprised. Like, I mean, the rig that I have now, like the light and the stand and everything, I think it was $20. So, I mean, I don't know. It's fun stuff. I'm enjoying it. I'm also really excited that my dresses shipped. The ones that I ordered from this gal on Etsy, whose Etsy name I always mess up. It's like Cotton Candy Wear. I'll get it right one of these times. But I ordered some new dresses from her, and she makes them. They're custom made to your measurements, and she lives in Ukraine, so it's gonna be a while till they get here, but they did finally ship. I ordered them in June, and it took her a good like 6 weeks to finish them. So hopefully they'll be here by the end of August. That would be fantastic. Very, very excited. So I'll have those, and then I'm gonna start working as soon as I get the yarn for my new sweater. Then I'm gonna start the ripped sweater, so I'll have that to wear with my dresses. And yeah, I'm trying to like kind of pare back my wardrobe a little bit as far as the things that I don't wear to work. Because obviously I can't wear dresses to work because I'm going up and down ladders and stuff like that all the time. But yeah, my non-work wardrobe, I'm really trying to like fine tune it to just be things that I really, really love and things that I can wear year round. So we'll see. It's a work in progress. I think a lot of people are trying to simplify their lives right now, and I'm just part of that whole thing too. So, but yeah, I pretty much live in either overalls or dresses. Yeah, I don't know. I just find it more comfortable, I guess. So I know on my last episode, as part of the giveaway, I wanted to know the name of your favorite book, which I realize for those of you who are avid readers, that's a pretty big ask. Like, I know when somebody asks me what my favorite book is, I'm like by genre, or like my favorite series, or my favorite, like there isn't just like a favorite book, you know? It's kind of a tough thing, but hopefully for those of you who entered, something at least came to mind that you can share with me. But I'm curious to know like what you guys are reading right now, like if you're reading anything. I was on a kick for a while where I was probably finishing like a book a week, but it's slowed down considerably. I think now I'm finishing a book like maybe once every 3 weeks or so. And a lot of that is because I used to just, I did a lot more driving before than I'm doing now, especially when I was going into my office, which is downtown Chicago, so it's well over an hour commute. So I would get at least, 2, sometimes 3 hours of reading in a day, which was great. Listening to books on Audible. And so I'd finish a lot of books that way, and then, read paper books at night when I was at home. But yeah, it's really, really slowed down. I've been trying to work through, like I'm in the middle of probably like 5 different series right now. And I've gotten new books in the series for probably 3, 4 of them. So I'm working through the Kingkiller Chronicles. That's the one that I'm like the most excited about right now. Which is just, it's not a series, it's just a trilogy. But okay, I'm gonna go on like a book lover's rant for a second. So So bear with me, guys. So one of my best friends, she recommended this book to me called The Name of the Wind, which she did not initially tell me was part of a series. She just said, you just need to read this book. It's beautifully written. It's completely engrossing. Like, you'll absolutely love it. And I did. Then I find out it's part of a trilogy. So I'm like, okay, that's great. So I'm like, well, I absolutely love this. So I'm just going to buy the whole trilogy so that I have all the books so that I can just plow through it because I don't want to read anything else other than this. Then I find out that the third book has not been written. And then I find out that there's been many, many years in between the second book and now, which means that the third book might not get written, so I was one of those people who got into Game of Thrones from the books. So I started reading the books well before the HBO. I mean, this was like when the books were coming out, I was reading the books. And so a new book would come out, you know, every few years or so, but they were coming out on the regular. So I was reading that series and I had every confidence that that series was going to be finished. And then the HBO show came along and then the last book never happened. And then the series, which I did end up finally breaking and watching on HBO because I just needed to have some kind of closure because I had been, you know, invested in these characters now for like over a decade. So I watched it and I was I was not very happy. We'll put it that way. It was just a perfect ending for the cluster of this whole reading experience. We'll put it that way. So anyway, since that happened, I have made a deal with myself that I will no longer read series that I'm either not 100% confident that are going to be finished. Like, this author has a history of finishing series, okay? So like Brandon Sanderson or somebody like that, somebody I can trust now. Or the series has to be already all the way done, like written, it's finished. And so then I'll just like read through it. And so like I said, she's one of my best friends, so she knows this about me because we're good reading buddies. And so she got me into this series because she is also struggling with the fact that the third book wasn't read. So now we're like in this like miserable position together where we're like waiting for this third book that may never ever happen. So knowing that, I was having trouble starting the second book in the series, or in the trilogy, because I hate unfinished business. I really, really do. It just grinds my gears. So yeah, I did finally break down and start the second book, and it is every bit as good as I would imagine. So if you want to start a trilogy that may go unfinished for many years or go unfinished indefinitely, I highly recommend the Kingkiller Chronicles. So the first book is The Name of the Wind, and the second book is called The Wise Man's Fear. And the third book is to be determined. Maybe. We'll see. Oh, somebody's up and humming. There's a lot of random noises and singing that goes on around here. So I've been having a lot of fun exploring new podcasts. I've been working really long hours, so it's a it's a nice way to end your day, just like watching a new podcast and knitting a few stitches, or even just sitting and like zoning out and watching a podcast. It's been really, really good for me. So there's one that she just started, and I'll link her name below. I think her name is like Knitboop or something like that. It's a really cute name, and she's in Indiana, and she's a designer, and she showed this shawl, and I'll link this specific episode below if you want to check it out. She is in the process of working on this shawl right now. Well, it's designed, and she's knit like two versions of it, like a bigger one. Someone's awake. So she's knit 2 samples, a smaller one and a bigger one, and I can't remember the name of the shawl. It was like Mala Shawl or Nala Shawl. I'm so excited to knit this shawl. It is so beautiful. It's like mosaic knitting, which I've not done, so I'd be really excited to try that. And there's lace in it as well, and I really love the colors that she chose for both of the samples. So I'll link that below. It was really cool. Good morning. Again.
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't just go back to bed.
I thought you were Jeremiah.
No, it's my fault.
You walk like Jeremiah sometimes. So anyway, I really enjoyed her podcast, and I enjoyed, you know, I was really excited about her shawl, but she brought up something that was kind of interesting about like keeping patterns and knitting like accessible for people. And she brought up the fact that when she does her samples, she'll knit one in kind of like, you know, a luxury yarn, and one in, you know, something more affordable like Knit Picks yarn. And I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind, that, you know, I mean, I know back when I was like, you know, much younger, and I had 3 small children, and we were really struggling financially, and I would knit with just cheap stuff. You know, I would find stuff at the thrift store, or, you know, I was always using like the 40% off coupons at like Joann's or Michael's or one of our craft, you know, box stores, basically, to just buy whatever yarn I could. And I remember just like dreaming of the day that I could just like walk into a local yarn store and just like, you know, spend $200 on yarn for a sweater, like a really beautiful, you know, really beautiful yarn for a really beautiful sweater. And I remember like thinking like, man, that if I keep working hard, that day will come. And that day did come for me. And I'm really lucky that I can afford to buy, you know, hand-dyed yarn and indie-dyed yarn, and that I can, you know, support my local yarn store, and, you know. But anyway, I was listening to her and I was thinking like, man, like, I just feel like I'm really far removed from that now, because I am in a much better place financially than I was. Oh, my son's gonna take a shower now, so you can hear water in the background. It's really hard to podcast when you have children. I don't know how, like, 'cause I know there's a lot of moms with smaller children who somehow manage to podcast. I do not know how you do it. I was talking to, like I mentioned earlier, my youngest is kind of like my YouTube guru and video guru. He teaches me how to do things. And I was talking to him about like the ambient noise issue, and he's like, well, Mom, you just need to soundproof a room in the house. And I'm like, what room in the house would that be? Like, can I like take your bedroom and turn it into a studio? And he's like, because like my house is basically, it's a ranch style house, and if you aren't from the States or you don't know what that is, it's basically like everything's one floor, and there's just like a lot of open common like living spaces, and then kind of small bedrooms that are all grouped together. So there's like 4 small bedrooms and a bathroom, and then there's just like open living space. It's not like older homes that are like heavily sectioned off, and I don't have multiple floors. It's just, it is what it is. So it's not really conducive. You know, like where I am right now, like I can hear everything else that's going on in the house right now, for better or worse. When you have small kids, that's great, but when you're trying to podcast, it's not so great. So anyway, so he's like, well, just soundproof a room in the house. And I'm like, okay, well, let's say, for instance, that was not possible. What would my other options be? And he's like, well, you could just, you know, install those like rolling like soundproof walls. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, they're not that expensive. They're like a couple $100 a piece. And I was like, what? And also, like, where am I going to store those? Like, in our practically non-existent basement, or again, like I'll keep them in your bedroom, dude. But yeah, so anyway, all that to say, we concluded that there was not a really good way to soundproof anywhere in the house, and putting up rolling soundproofing walls was not financially or logistically feasible. So I will have to find some other way to try to keep all of the excess noise out, because one thing that I hadn't thought of doing before, which I started doing, was to listen back to the audio of my podcast with headphones, like either earbuds or even better noise cancellation headphones, so I can really listen. And holy cow, my house is really loud. It's so loud, you guys. I don't know. I guess you just learn to tune it out. But the microphone, and you wouldn't think like the microphone in a smartphone would be that good, but apparently it is, because it picks up friggin' everything. Anyway, I'm learning more about it. Like I said, I ordered a directional mic, which may or may not help. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, I'm learning and hopefully getting better all the time. So, but anyway, well, I've been recording for about 40 minutes now. So I'm gonna have to edit this down some to keep it to half an hour, but I have to go because it is time to move on with my day, and I need to take my son to the doctor, so I need to wake him up and get him ready for that. But anyway, thanks for sitting and knitting with me and having a little chat. I enjoy these very much, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. I hope everyone is staying safe and staying strong, and yeah, that's it for now. Bye for now.
Can't you see him standing there? He wears your shoes, your coat.